Learning in secrecy. Would it surprise you to learn that in the United States, girls who had access to free and compulsory education were being forced to drop out of school? Well, it happened. From the 1900s throughout the 1950s, girls from Jewish, Irish, Italian, Polish, and Slavic immigrant families often dropped out of school when they were 12 years old. Educational scholars in the United States assumed that cultural beliefs regarding the value of education was the primary reason that immigrant children dropped out of school. It was traditionally believed that some immigrant groups, such as Jews, regarded education as important, while others did not. However, gender was not examined in the research, which was conducted by primarily male scholars. Even today, educational statistics for immigrant groups are reported by grouping males and females together by ethnicity. Using qualitative research involving the transcripts of hundreds of oral history interviews, school records, and autobiographies of female immigrant students attending public schools in Chicago and St. Louis from the 1900s through the 1950s, I discovered that boys were allowed to remain in school longer regardless of social class than girls. The reasons why immigrant girls were not allowed to stay in school included the need for their help at home with chores or looking after younger siblings, the need for their income during times of economic hardships and arranged marriages for their own economic security. These reasons for dropping out of school are still true today for girls who immigrate to the United States from underdeveloped countries. Even countries such as Nigeria, where public education is free and compulsory, girls still drop out of school at a higher rate than boys due to the lack of enforcement of compulsory education laws, the inability to pay the additional school fees that are levied upon them, and economic hardships that their families face. In spite of the reasons that girls drop out of school, the immigrant girls in my study believed in the value of education. Some of them took great measures to continue their education in secrecy. Rose Clementi, an Italian immigrant living in Chicago in the 1920s, recalled that at the age of 14, she was married and her husband had to allow her to continue to go to school until she turned 16, or he would face 6 months in jail or a $125 fine. She stated, "My husband had to agree that I'd go to school after we were married. 1 day a week. 1 day a week. Every Monday. I looked forward to that Monday. I just enjoyed that school. I didn't want to be married." When Rose became pregnant at the age of 16, she knew she would be forced to drop out of school, so she hid her pregnancy and continued to play volleyball at school every Monday. She said, "I was the captain of the volleyball team, and I was pregnant, but I never told anyone. No one knew I was pregnant, and I'd be putting on a garment every Monday morning. I'd put that on tight and tighten myself up. And when I come home, I'd be blue in the face." Millicent Petrov-Shine, also known as Mimsy, an immigrant from a Serbian family, growing up in St. Louis in the 1920s, was told by her parents that she could no longer attend school for economic reasons. She decided to make arrangements with her best friend Bibi Kiram, a girl from a Greek family, for tutoring. She stated, "When Mama told me I couldn't go to high school because I had to work to help support the family so the other kids could go to school, I ran over and cried on Bibi's shoulder. I wanted to go to school so I could learn more." Bibi hugged me and said, "Don't cry, Mimsy. I'll teach you everything they teach me in high school." Millicent described how she and Bibi would hide under the bed for lessons. She explained, "Most of the time we slid under the bed, so Bibi's mother would not find her. Mrs. Kiram would call for her in Greek. 'Where are you, Bibi? I want you to come down and help me in the restaurant.' Bibi just put her finger to her lips, and we stayed quiet so she wouldn't find us. There are countless other stories about how girls attempting to educate themselves face and continue to face opposition, including physical assault, kidnapping, having acid thrown in their faces, or in the case of 15-year-old Malala Yousafzai, being shot in the head. I found it astonishing that these events occurred and are still occurring in areas where education is legal, free, and compulsory. I believe that when educational historians, teachers, and other members of the educational community in the United States assume that immigrants do not value education without investigating whether or not they truly had the opportunity to learn, they are committing an act of injustice, especially toward those immigrants who continued, against all odds, to learn in secrecy.